All right, welcome to the Explainer. Today we're jumping right into a really fiery accusation that's making waves in the NFL. A sports columnist is out here claiming the Cleveland Browns' big quarterback competition, well, that it's nothing more than a rigged game, a sham designed from the get-go to make sure one guy wins. Let's break this down.
And wow, the author does not pull any punches, do they? Sabotage via play calling. I mean, you can't get much more direct than that. It's a massive accusation, and it really sets the tone for the entire argument we're about to get into.
Okay, so here's the main idea, the big claim at the heart of all this. The argument is that what you and I are seeing on the field, it's not a real competition. Not even close. The author literally calls it theater, a show orchestrated by the head coach to make sure his hand-picked guy, Dillon Gabriel, gets the starting job no matter what.
All right, a claim that big needs some serious backup, right? You can't just throw that out there. So the author says the proof is right there in the pudding. It's all about how differently the two quarterbacks were handled when they were actually on the field. So the column basically paints this picture of, well, a tale of two nights. On the one hand, you've got Dillon Gabriel, whose performance was supposedly bubble-wrapped and baby-proofed. And then on the other, you have Shedeur Sanders, who was just thrown into a trial by fire. The implication is crystal clear. One guy was set up for success, and the other, maybe not so much. Now, to really get what the author is arguing, we got to talk about this key football term, max protection. You've probably heard it before. It's pretty simple, really. It's just when you keep extra guys, like tight ends or running backs, in to block. That gives the quarterback a nice, clean pocket and tons of time. The column claims Gabriel lived behind these schemes, while Sanders was left way more exposed. And this right here, this is the real core of that optics versus reality argument. On the surface, if you were just casually watching, yeah, Gabriel looked super efficient, right? And Sanders maybe looked a little messy. But the column says, hold on, look deeper. Gabriel was throwing simple, short passes against the third and fourth string defense. Meanwhile, Sanders was trying to hit tougher throws against better competition, and he was doing it with less help. Okay, so if we're going with the idea that the fix was in, the next logical question is, why, right? What's the motive here? Well, the author claims it's a mix of the coach's personal philosophy and some good old-fashioned team politics. And that really is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Why would a coach go through all this trouble, create this whole song and dance of a competition, instead of just picking his guy from day one? Well, the author puts forward a two-part theory. So according to the column, the theory breaks down into two main parts. First up, coaching philosophy. The idea is the coach is risk-averse, he wants a safe game manager, a guy like Gabriel, over a big-armed gunslinger like Sanders, who might take more chances. And then there's part two, team politics. Let's be real, Sanders comes with a huge media following, a famous last name, the whole shebang. The author argues the coach just doesn't want to deal with that circus. But the author doesn't just stop at pointing fingers. Nope. The column also sounds a pretty big alarm about the potential fallout from all this. The argument is that this safe choice could actually blow up in their faces big time. And here's how the author sees it all going wrong, kind of like dominoes falling. First, you lose the locker room. Veteran players, they see what's going on. Then you might be wasting a truly special talent in Sanders, which, of course, is going to alienate that player. And finally, you're just repeating the same old mistakes that have plagued this team for years. Yeah, and if you're a Browns fan, this probably stings because it feels so familiar. The author directly ties this whole thing to the team's notorious quarterback curse, saying this is just the newest chapter in a very long, very sad book of mishandling talented players. Wow. And this quote right here really sums up the author's take on the coach's mindset. It's so sharp. The argument is that this isn't about X's and O's, it's about control. The idea is that the coach is afraid of a player who, yeah, might make a few mistakes, but also has that rare ability to lift the entire team to another level. So what's the end game here? Where does all of this leave the Browns, the players, and the fans? Well, according to this column, the final verdict is not great. It's a pretty stark warning about the price of playing it safe. And this is really the final point the author drives home. This whole thing, it's bigger than just one player. The argument is that when you rig a competition, you're not just shortchanging a quarterback. You're shortchanging an entire city and a fan base that has been absolutely desperate for a winner. And that's the final question the column leaves us to chew on. It really makes you think about that thin line between a coach being careful and a coach being afraid. Afraid of risk, afraid of a big personality, maybe afraid of letting go of control. So is this just smart, cautious coaching?
Or is the franchise making the same old mistake of choosing safe when great is right there for the taking?